Hey everybody, weekly open. We we had a big move up last week. I wasn't involved, but I did manage to get out of a short early, which I'm happy about. That's the only positive I can take from last week. I would have liked to have been a part of the move, but to be honest, there was no way in unless it was at the bottom. By the time it had got up to the top, which now it looks like it could deleverage a little bit. I'm really not in the mood to short it, but it has taken out. No, it hasn't taken out key high, but does have a triple high. Now, I'm not bothered about shorting it, I'm just describing the price action here. But really, there was no way in. You had to get in here, or you really weren't getting in. Like, the whole thing was one move. It wasn't like this, where it chopped. It went one move up from 41 to 40, sorry, from 42 to 49. So it's difficult to get in. So sitting on the sidelines was really the only option. If it had have pulled back, then we could have looked at getting in, right? But it didn't, so we didn't. Now, what will I be looking for this week? Well, let's bring in our weekly levels because it's completely invalidated this candle with that expansive move, which means this was the candle. I know that is obviously only useful with hindsight, but it, I am going to look at where is the I am going to look at I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I definitely am going to try and buy this if it happens, which I don't know if it will, but I'm definitely going to try and buy it if it does, which is 44,000 dip. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen, but if it arrives there and I don't buy it, then I'll be more annoyed. So I'm just gonna use the full set. Am I gonna use that? No, I don't think it's gonna come back that far. So I'm probably gonna use the candle previous and this one. So them two candles, box it off. I'm gonna look to take trades around this level. Um, Longs if it comes back here because we don't know. The flush, there could be a flush, right? Remember previously in Bitcoin there was big moves down. For example, let me bring up a new chart. So big moves down. For example, here it's kind of similar in a way where we went. Um, what did we do? We consolidated, then broke out. It feels like we're in this move here currently. Feels like we're in there. What that done is that went one move down, one candle down to the old highs, and it was never seen again. You'll never know how many people. If you were here, you'll know. If you weren't, you I should tell you, as soon as it dipped, everybody went short, heavily short, right? And now it feels like we're in that phase. Now, what I mean by that is here's the different, but let me just get it on the lower time frame. It feels like obviously it needed to do that to confirm, but it feels like that triangle there is very similar to the one on the weekly, um, where it's moved up and now bang, it could drop. But in my opinion, whatever happens, it remains bullish. That was a long, thin move up. At some point, expect that to get filled in, even if it chops around here. You know, I expect some part of that to be filled in before continuing higher. Now, am I going to trade it? Has to give the triggers. If it gives the triggers, then I'll take it. But I'm mostly interested in the long from lower, which I've just mentioned on here, which is this chart. So if I'm lucky enough to get a flush bang down to there, which might not even happen, right? Then I'm going to be a buyer, and we're going to go like 60. You just pick your number at that point. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. Looking to trade around this area, 42 to 45, 43 to 46 rather. How are we doing on Yeah, high block, excuse me. High block 819 long, 134 short. That's building up, building up, building up. We know what price action is like. There can be a little quick dip into the lows, um, but rather wait for the long than short. Probably the best plan. Um, See, there's nothing here. This is exactly how it should look, which is what I mentioned to Sam before we started the stream was um, CVD. This has been a nice example of CVD not giving you any edge. So it's done exactly as it should have. So this proves that there is edge in it when we look at it and there is the high missing or the divergence. Um, we find the little edge that we use for our system, our strategy, and it works very, very nicely. Now everything is as it should be. Even this one. Everything as it should be. Funny, huh? So it's a perfect CVD. CVD and price are perfectly aligned. So no edge. So there's no reason to short. Just going to wait. If I can get a long, I'll try and get a long. Now, how would I get into a long? Let's mark out some big levels. So that would be, let's get this one. Hmm, Visibility. Hours. Days. I mean, I can stay on days, can't it? Because I'm not going to use days. But if I do get to buy that, I will. That's a weekly, but hourly. 2022 open. Top. Around the high. Um, I suppose it's here, isn't it? Like a reverse cluster or some sort of a breaker, if you would call it that. I don't know exactly how to define a breaker or how to mark one, but I do know a reverse cluster, which is there. Okay. Buying happened in here, sent the market higher, took the highs out, dropped, resistance, 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 pivoted off this level, didn't it? Pivoted nicely off this level. So 44.5. If you can get a short, I would not take it any further than that. For example, if something wild and outrageous happens, like we run into that high, break down, and then you short into there, I would close that. I'd absolutely close that and expect the bounce. Which, again, this is the area I'd be looking to trade around. Of course, it can be higher on the open, but I'm not sure that level's relevant enough to warrant buying because of the way it sliced through it. Okay, so for the moment, we're waiting for pullbacks. You can take a short scalp if you want, but that's all on Bitcoin. Thanks for joining. Bye bye.